Hello, welcome to my Stories from the Trenches series. Here is a story that shows how delicately one should set up dominoes so that when the push is given to complete the ripple, they fall correctly. Like dominoes, escrows have to be handled carefully and precisely, or the fall will be awkward and not as smooth as projected. This is a story of concurrent closings. These types of transactions are supposed to all close at one time, but that would be difficult to achieve given the time space continuum in Star Trek language. So we also label them contingent. The transactions are contingent on the closing of the first domino in the line so that net proceeds are transferred to the next domino, and so forth. The dominoes are each handled by a different escrow company in this case. Escrow A has client A, who is the seller selling his property. Escrow B has client A, who is the buyer purchasing the new property, and client B as the seller selling his property. Escrow C is client B, the buyer buying a new property. Thankfully, there are only two agents involved, Agent A handling Client A and Agent B handling Client B. Concurrent contingent closings require a very fine hand by the real estate agents who must keep an eye open to possible planned or unplanned issues that can happen during the course of a couple months as a transaction runs its course. In our case, those issues almost derailed the whole chain. Here is what happened 1 week before the supposed closing. Escrow A was supposed to be an all cash transaction. The escrow officer was not responding to Escrow B's calls for the transfer of funds for client A's closing. We found out later that this all cash transaction turned into one of cash to new loan. Surprise! This was the cause of all the delays to that transaction, waiting for new loan documents to be drawn and signed. And of course, whatever delayed Escrow A was going to affect Escrow B and C. We were Escrow B. Escrow B had two sellers. Client B was the main seller. His partner was going out of the country, so both signed all the documents in person beforehand. Anything else after the partner left would be signed using electronic signature platforms. 1 week before closing, Escrow B sent the final paperwork for signature through the platform. The signatures were important as they were needed by our buyer's lender to fund the loan. Unfortunately, after repeated phone calls over the course of the week to the partner and no signatures, we found out that the partner had given us the wrong email address and that he had very little internet reception at his location. So once he was located, Agent B asked that the partner stay at one particular location for a couple of hours so that Agent B would get in touch with Escrow B to resend the paperwork to the correct email address. This was at 8 o'clock in the morning, and once it was corrected and sent, it took less than 5 minutes for the partner to sign. Finally. Now, Escrow C was waiting desperately for the net proceeds from closing of Escrow B. The problem in that escrow was that escrow had a closing deadline of July 22nd, which was 2 weeks after the Escrow B scheduled closing date of August the 4th. So how did that happen? Especially if they knew from the beginning that they needed Escrow B's money to close. It was no wonder that the seller of Escrow C was just fit to be tied and giving our client B and agent B a hard time. That was regrettable planning on the real estate agent's side. So how did the dominoes fall? A 60-day escrow, and it all comes down to 4 business days, 2 of which were weekend days. On July 22nd, Escrow A received buyers' signed loan documents, and they were waiting for the lender to fund. On July 23, Escrow A advised Escrow B that the lender funded and they were set up for special recording. Hopefully, it would be closing the same day and they would be wiring the funds to us that afternoon. On July 23, that day, Escrow B received the seller's signed loan documents at 8:30 in the morning and sent them to the lender. Now, the lender was just waiting for Escrow A's closing funds before they funded the loan. However, their funding cutoff time was 2:30 in the afternoon. Escrow A closed and wired the funds to us after 2 o'clock that day. Escrow B immediately sent a copy of the closing funds to the lender, and the lender squeezed in the funding by 2:30. Escrow B is now set up for closing after the weekend. Escrow B notifies Escrow C that they are closing on July 26 after the weekend, and as soon as the escrow closing occurs, the net proceeds would be wired to Escrow C so that their lender can fund. On July 26, Escrow B closes, and funds are wired to Escrow C by 1 o'clock. Escrow C lender funds the loan, and on July 27, Escrow C closes. The general public may not know what drama and contortions escrow officers have to go through in order to get one transaction closed, much less stringing together 3 to close one after the other. This is the main reason why I have put this Escrow in the Trenches story together. Don't mind me as I give us all a pat on the back. These 3 escrow officers deserve accolades from their clients for getting the work done despite changes and outside issues. Yes, there was a lot of unmentioned stress and drama, but with their persistence and dedication, they had a number of happy clients by the end of the day. When was the last time you thanked your escrow officer for fighting in the trenches for your transaction? This is Juliana too, and thank you for taking the time to view this video. If you have similar stories to share, be sure you contact me. My information is on this final slide. Thank you.